Did you know that if your flight is delayed, you may be entitled to compensation, and that this compensation can be as much as 600 euros per passenger? The truth is that we have not had the opportunity to familiarize ourselves firsthand with the issue of compensation for delays until the first half of the year, when 6 flights we took from or to Madrid airport were delayed. A delay of 2 hours 45 minutes, 24 hours, 1 hour 45, 1 hour 10, 7 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, a festival of delays. We are not implying that every single flight operating at Madrid airport does so with a delay. Far from it, we've been quite unlucky. But the chances of a delay are very real. And while talking to other travelers, victims of the same delays, we realized that ignorance of travelers' rights is widespread. Hence today's video. Hola, ¿qué tal? Hello, I am Tony Galvez from Road Trip Spain and Portugal, where we help you plan the perfect trip with practical information, insider tips, and our very own travel guides. If you stay with us to watch this video, and we would love for you to do so, you will learn the details of the legislation that protects passengers, the rights you have in case of a flight delay, and how to claim them. We will also share our experience with 2 major delays in the first half of the year, which together generated compensation for a total of 2,400 euros. At the end of the video, we will also share another type of compensation we received from an airline for damages caused during a flight. Let's get started. The rights of those who fly to or from a European Union airport are protected by European Union legislation, which is mandatory in all European Union countries, including Spain and Portugal. This piece of legislation applies in the case of flights within the European Union operated by any airline, whether or not from the European Union. Flights departing from the European Union operated by any airline, whether or not from the European Union. And flights to the European Union operated by a European Union airline. In the latter case, for example, if you fly from the United States to Spain with Iberia, which is a European Union airline, your rights will be protected by European Union regulations. However, if you fly from the United States to Spain with, for example, Delta or United, which are not European Union airlines, your rights will not be protected by this regulation. In the case of flights from outside the European Union to the European Union, what determines whether you are protected by the European Union regulation is the nationality of the airline. Very important, outbound and return flights, from the point of view of your rights, are considered different flights, even if they are part of the same ticket. For example, on a round-trip flight with Delta, United States to Spain, on the United States to Spain flight, you will not be protected. On the Spain to the US flight, as we have explained above, you will have this protection. So we already know which flights are covered by the regulations that protect consumers in the European Union. Let's see now what this regulation establishes in case of flight delays. If delays occur, you have the right to, in the first place, to be informed of your rights. The airline must give you a document explaining your rights. Our experience is that this information is not given spontaneously. Do not fail to ask for it. Secondly, you have the right to have your needs met. The airline cannot say the flight is delayed, get by on your own until the new departure time. No, it must provide you with food and drink, phone calls or internet access, accommodation when necessary, and transportation to and from that hotel. However, these rights can only be claimed in the following cases. When the delay is at least 2 hours for flights up to 1,500 kilometers. When the delay is at least 3 hours for flights between 1,500 and 3,500 kilometers. And when the delay is at least 4 hours for flights over 3,500 kilometers. If your delay is inferior to those times, you cannot claim help. If the airline does not comply with these rights, keep all the receipts of the expenses incurred in the above mentioned areas in order to be able to claim them later from the airline. For example, if the airline did not provide you with food or a voucher to buy food and you spend money for food, keep the receipt. The third and most important right is the right to receive financial compensation. You will be entitled to compensation when your flight arrives at its destination more than 3 hours late, no matter how late the flight departs. The amount to be received per passenger is €250 for flights of up to 1,500 kilometers, €400 for flights from 1,500 to 3,500 kilometers, and €600 for flights over 3,500 kilometers. So, from what we have seen so far, if you fly from Madrid to the United States, regardless of whether the airline is European or not, and your flight arrives in the States more than 3 hours late, you will be entitled to €600 in compensation. As in this world, not everything is perfect, there are some exceptions that you should be aware of. This right to receive compensation does not apply when the delay is due to events beyond the airline's control, such as a natural disaster, a collision of a plane with a bird, a war, or a strike in which the airline staff is not involved. The rights, however, will apply in the event of the company's operational problems, a term they love to use when, for example, they haven't got enough aircraft to attend the company's needs, or there is a technical problem, a problem with the company's staff, or in the event of a strike by the company's employees. So far, we have seen which legislation protects passengers' rights, which flights it applies to, and we have also seen the rights of those who suffer a flight delay. Let's now look at how to claim those rights. Your first step is to submit your claim to the airline responsible for the flight delay. Attention, because this is very important. You must always contact the airline first. You cannot skip this step. Usually the airlines provide a space on their websites for you to make this claim. No two airlines offer this option in the same way. Each one is different. Finding the claims page can take a lot of effort, and some airlines don't really make it easy. But don't give up. Search on the internet the name of the airline and compensation and delay to get to this page. It is essential that you get to this page because it is through this page that you will file your claim. Do not try to claim at the airport because you will not be able to do so. Moreover, this claim can only be made when you are already at your final destination because, as we have already seen, the right to compensation is related to the size of the delay in the arrival of the flight at your destination airport. The claim process is usually quite simple, but it is different from each airline. You don't need to prove that there has been a delay. This information already appears in the airline's system. But it is always worth saving your boarding passes and any communication you receive from the airline informing you of the delay, whether it is an email or a message on your cell phone. Always keep that information. We will explain below the 2 delays that generated compensation for us in the first half of the year. But first, we want to talk about intermediaries. You can and you should make those claims yourself. There are companies that mediate these claims, but they will all want to take a commission for the work they do. If you are entitled to €600 in compensation, the company may want 30% of that amount, and that is a lot of money. It is up to you whether you want to try to make the claim yourself and receive all that money, or whether you want to pay someone to make the claim for you. What happens if you have filed a claim and the airline has not satisfied it? In the specific case of Spain, for flights from Spain by any airline or flights to Spain operated by a European Union airline, if you are sure that you are entitled to compensation and the airline does not resolve your claim, you can go to AESA, which is the Spanish Aviation Safety Agency. We will leave you a link to the AESA website in the first comment below the video. The decision taken by AESA is binding for the airline. And let's go with the 2 delays we have had so far this year, which have generated compensation for us. In March, we flew to Australia from Madrid, with connections in Paris and Singapore. The first 2 flights were operated by Air France, and the last leg was operated by Qantas in code share with Air France, all issued as part of the same ticket. The Madrid-Paris flight left Madrid 4 hours late, so we missed our connection in Paris. The airline put us on the same flight 24 hours later. The company did not automatically inform us of our rights, as required by law. However, when we inquired about it, we received a brochure explaining our rights. The company gave us a meal voucher for the Madrid airport, a 4-star hotel near the airport with dinner and breakfast, and transportation to and from the hotel. Once the trip was over, we went to the Air France website to file a claim for the cost of the hotel night we missed at our destination in Australia because we arrived 24 hours late, the amount paid for the seat reservation on the connecting flight we missed. As we were put on a flight 24 hours later, we had to pay again for the seat reservation. And the compensation of €600 per passenger provided for by European Union legislation for arriving at our destination more than 3 hours late. The company accepted all our requests, and in less than a week we had received in our bank accounts the amount corresponding to the requested amounts. Second case. In May, we flew from Madrid to São Paulo in Brazil with Iberia Direct. The flight left Madrid 7 hours late. The airline did not inform us of our rights, as the attention at the passenger assistance desk was chaotic and we had previous experience of how to proceed. We did not ask for information about our rights. We were put up in a 2-star hotel near the airport with dinner and transportation to and from the airport. The morning we left the hotel for the airport, along with the rest of the passengers on the flight, a funny thing happened. As we left the hotel, we were approached by a person speaking in Portuguese to ask us if we wanted to join a WhatsApp group to file a complaint. We immediately realized that he was an intermediary, and we replied that no, thank you, we would make the claim ourselves. The guy replied, okay, but Iberia will not pay you. We did not like the fact that that person was spreading false information to get customers and commissions. Once the trip was over, we went to Iberia's website to claim the compensation of €600 per passenger provided for in European Union legislation. A few days later, we received an email from Iberia accepting our claim and requesting our bank details to deposit the compensation with a term of up to 30 days to receive the money. 2 days later, the compensation money was in our accounts. So now you know, in case of delay, you have rights that must be respected. The companies take advantage of the lack of information of travelers to avoid having to pay compensation. You cannot imagine how many people we have met who have suffered a delay and have not claimed the compensation due to lack of information. Depending on the flight and the delay, it can be a lot of money, so exercise your rights. One last clarification, here in the video we have focused exclusively on the rights that can be claimed in case of a flight delay, but there are also a number of other rights that can be claimed in other circumstances. It is always good to be informed. At the beginning of the video we said we were going to finish it talking about another type of compensation. Well, on the Iberia flight to Brazil that was delayed 7 hours, some jerk working at Madrid airport forced our suitcase open to try to steal some valuables. As we were not carrying any valuables, nothing was taken, but the suitcase was damaged. When we took the suitcase off the conveyor belt at our destination in Brazil and realized the problem, we went directly to the airport baggage counter. There, an employee of a company that works for Iberia filled out a PIR form, a property irregularity report, another name for a baggage report, which is essential to be able to make any kind of baggage claim. The report stated that the suitcase had been damaged. If that should ever happen to you, do not leave the airport without this document and the PIR number. The employee told us that Iberia would be in touch within 3 days, either by phone or email. Iberia did not get in touch as we had expected. Once again, it was up to us to take the initiative. We follow a link to our website where we informed what the damaged suitcase looked like, the approximate purchase price, and we were offered the choice of a new suitcase of the same size but with a different design and manufacturer. That replacement suitcase arrived at our home in record time, 2 days after sending the form. On the one hand, we were frustrated that our previous suitcase, which was brand new, had been rendered unusable. On the other hand, we were pleased with the quick response and delivery of our replacement suitcase. We are aware that it is unrealistic to expect the airline to replace your damaged bag with an identical one. Ours, by the way, was purchased abroad and is not even for sale in Spain. Let's go with a final summary that we hope will be useful to many travelers in the future. The key points are: in the event of long delays, you are entitled to substantial financial compensation. Airlines are not particularly keen on letting you know about your rights. Each airline has its own way of handling claims. And you can try to do everything online without having to rely and pay for an intermediary. If you have any questions about the subject of the video, use the commentary box to ask. We will be happy to try to help you. The issue of compensation is complex, and here we have focused only on claims for delays, which is what we have experience with. You will see now on the screen another video that will help you save even more money in Spain. We look forward to seeing you in that video too.